I think having cameras in the room, for me, there was a sort of ooh to begin with. And because we worked so much with the breath and stillness to begin with, that disappeared really much quicker than I thought.
It didn't take me out of my body, but it added this new experience of feeling like there was a bit of an audience.
I thought with the camera sometimes, oh, is it pointing at me? Am I going to look like really bad, or am I going to look really good? And so there's a certain amount of self-consciousness sometimes, but other times I had completely forgotten about it.
I didn't like it for the first 5 minutes, and if I'm honest, I knew that I had to contain that desire to perform and look good, you know, and that kind of thing. But that really didn't last long.
I don't think having the cameras introduced any element of performance.
When you enter the space within you, it really kind of becomes irrelevant whether there are other people watching through their eyes or whether there is a lens pointed at you.
It felt totally free. I didn't feel restricted in any means by the cameras today. It felt really integrated, and I could let my dance flow.
It blends into a background. It just becomes the space.
It didn't worry me. Sometimes I was aware that they were coming close. And it's bizarre because usually I am quite introvert, quite shy. It was like a come join me, share with me.
Generally my best thoughts are to leave the camera to be the camera and me to be me. Yet there was brief. It's like I had brief connections with people. I had a brief connection with the camera as well.
That it was like having extra dancing beings in the room.
The little flirtations.
It sort of felt like another person in the room, just like moving around with and in between all of us.
Yeah, I notice a camera all the time, but sometimes I feel like just being playful and dance with the camera or dance with the person holding the camera, or sometimes I just get into doing my own thing and not, you know, really paying attention to the camera and not to let it influence me too much.
It wasn't so much that it was an intrusive thing, but there became a little dance where it's like, oh, wow, okay, there's Harry, and then like, back to it. So yeah, there was a bit of a dance in and out of that as well.
I was kind of felt like I was almost, I was moving with the dancers. They were kind of more free with their movements. I had kind of something in mind. You know, I was still working. I still had to get the shot I wanted at that particular time. I wasn't maybe quite as free with my movements as they were, but then I was aware of everyone around me.
Both the mechanical and the human may have been present.
I felt no camera there at all.
I was paying more attention to the human because I didn't want to like get in the way of anything or like step on the cameraman's toes or anything like that.
I don't think I bumped into anyone at any point, which I was kind of I was relieved about, but I was half expecting would happen.
So I didn't really think about the camera and the person because I knew that I could so get sucked into performing for the camera.
I didn't have that sense of discomfort that somebody's like, the barrel is coming down on me.
They felt like different pairs of eyes looking at us.
There's something very fleshy and very emotive about being human and alive in the experience. And then this black machine comes towards you and there is a big eye on that machine. And it takes you slightly out of the body to realize that there's something very literally being reflected back at you. So there is an interaction there of something that's really human and personal to something that's very sort of inhuman and impersonal in the camera. But then that's tempered by the fact that that piece of machinery is always being held by a human. So then that's where the dance begins.
When I kept my eyes closed and then just happened to open them and the camera would be very close to me, and there's this moment, and then it passes. You kind of go back to your. There's a moment of awareness that it's something. This object in front of you.
I'm looking at it now, and it's very black. It's kind of very mechanical and like businesslike.
You're always working within literally a framework. You're working within a box. You're keeping an eye. I was trying to keep an eye on things, my peripherals, have an idea of what was happening within the room, and then trying to frame details within it, within the camera.
It felt like I'm a person and I'm there and this is what I'm seeing. I felt like I was the camera man.
I love the low sort of swooping shots and the feet shots where you get the sense of like balance.
I liked the moving shots. I can think of, there was a shot of someone rolling on somebody else's body that I remember thinking, this is cool because they were doing something interesting with their bodies, but also the camera was like slowly kind of following them.
You don't see that and you don't get to focus on those aspects of people, you know, like the inside of someone's wrist or like the tips of fingers, like, yeah, tops of feet.
I think the connection is with the end product rather than the person or the machine. It's the connection with the image that's going to be recorded.
I don't know if you can recreate the event. I think you're going to make a new event.
There's quite a lot going on. You want to just be able to focus on maybe 2 or 3 details at most. You don't want to have any more than that in the frame. So you're constantly, you know, picking and choosing.
I wasn't where the camera's eye was. I was annoyed with the camera almost because the camera was making a choice on a particular dancer I felt quite often, or maybe the closest dancer, and maybe drawing attention to the feet, and that's not where I was in the piece.
It's going to be altered by having the editor pick and choose.
The way it was used just made me go, oh, this isn't into account of everyone's perception, this is into account of one person's perception. I never felt like it was allowing me to see everything. There was always moments of hiddenness.
The end product is that you're being recorded forever, potentially, something that's normally very ephemeral. Because normally when we dance, it's there, it's gone, and the nature of the whole thing is to be improvised and ephemeral. It stops being ephemeral once it's been recorded. And if you're going to edit it into something else, it then becomes a second layer of creativity on top of the creativity that we're creating.
Capturing that event was part of the event, like the representation of it was part of the experience of it too. Like the camera being there was also a member of the part of the movement.